Iron Man 2 from 2010. Let's go over a few tech
Mm-hmm.
specs really quick. This movie was shot on 35 millimeter. It's got a 2K DI. It is rated PG-13. Runtime is 124 minutes, and it does have a Dolby Atmos audio mix. I recently watched this yesterday. You watched it, I'm sure, this past week, Bill?
I watched it this morning.
All right. Well, look at you got real
Mm-hmm.
fresh for you. But let's quickly go over the audio mix really fast. Let's kind of go in timeline order here. So when we both reviewed Iron Man 1, I actually thought the audio was pretty good on that first original movie. This one is almost the same. So let's kick this off at around 5 minutes 37 seconds into the movie, rough estimate. We've got Iron Man who is flying down from a plane. We have fireworks going off left and right. He's dodging them. And if you couldn't tell, there's nothing happening in the top channel. So not a lot of overheads happen until he lands. And then we can hear the crowd in the top channels. And then as you can see, nothing else, despite him being surrounded by dancers and a massive crowd in this Coliseum area. Nothing in the top channels. You would think there'd be something happening up top, but just like the fireworks in the top channels, no kind of echo or reverberation happens in the top channels here. So basically just a 7.1 channel scene, which is kind of a missed opportunity, very much like the original Iron Man 1. Not a lot happening in the top channels. And I'm sure they did this as a fresh Dolby Atmos remix, because I stayed till the end of the credits and I read that this was originally released in Dolby Digital and in DTS. So clearly they had given this a fresh Atmos mix. Next up, coming in at 32 minutes, we have this scene that happens in Monaco. We've got Happy going down the raceway, cars zipping back and forth, but we only have 5 channels, only 5.1 channel mix. Here we get a smash from, I believe his name is Whiplash or Mickey Rourke. He smacks the car. We have a little something happen in the top channels there as he flips over. But as he's flipping over, you would think he would flip over in the top channels, but he doesn't. However, we do get a little bit of action in the back channels here. Top channels now become active because now we have a little bit more ambiance and crowd work in the background, which kind of extended up top. Otherwise, for such a really big action scene, only 7 channels for that shot there. Bass as well, pretty weak. It was all right. There's a part in the movie where Whiplash is whipping. Do you remember that part where he's like, he's whipping his things up against the road? That
Right.
part actually had a lot of bass in it, just really low. I'm going to say probably like 20 hertz bass or so in that shot. So for that was really great, but the race scene and then when he whips Tony's car in half, very weak. Really kind of a disappointment in that shot there.
You'd imagine that would be you're cutting a car in half. That would be a pretty loud
Yeah,
arc sound or something,
not much happening though. The dynamic range is kind of weak in this. Probably the most overhead activity comes here at around 18 minutes. This is a scene that takes place in Tony's garage or Tony's lab at the house. And those 2 front top channels, the top middle channels, get really active, but that's just because Jarvis is talking in the overhead speakers. So it's actually pretty loud when he's talking, and it does surround you in the top half of the room if you have 6 channels. If you have 4 channels, then obviously you'll get the full surround effect up top. But for me, since I have 6, most of Jarvis's voice comes from the front half of the room. And then we do have a little bit of, I think there's some music playing in this scene, so there is a little bit going on, a little bit of echo in the back channels there. So this scene, anytime Jarvis is on screen speaking, he'll put use to most of the top channels. And then coming in at 57 minutes here, this is probably one of the cooler scenes. Here we've got Tony and War Machine fighting in Tony's house. Scene switches over to Pepper and Natasha on the first floor, but above our heads, we can hear them about to crash through the ceiling, which happens above your head. They fall down from the top into the bed layer, and then action ensues in the lower 5 channels. So this scene here, despite this being a pretty big action scene, is only a 5.1.2, with only the 5 lower channels active and only the 2 top channels active, which is basically just music in the top front channels. Again, if you have 4 top channels, then most likely you'll get action happening in all 4 channels, but I have 6, so only the top 2 are being active. So another big action scene, very much like the Monaco scene. I was kind of let down in that, and also the bass was really weak in that scene as well. So again, kind of weak dynamic range. And then lastly, let's talk about the other really cool scene. This happens when Tony and War Machine are planning their attack, how they're going to take on the drones. We're going to hear in the back right corner that there is a drone that is about to fly into the scene. Tony looks back. He drops down from top to bottom, and this happens counterclockwise, as you can see the objects kind of moving counterclockwise around the room, and it lights up the back left speaker, back right speaker, so on and so forth. So this is probably the coolest scene in the entire movie, where we do get some dynamic objects as the drones are descending upon Tony and War Machine from the skies down into the ground. And then here we get a big gun shootout. And look at that. Nothing happening in the top channels. You would think we'd get some kind of reverberation up top, but nothing happens. And then as well, this is only 5 channels of action happening in this entire scene. And this happens pretty much throughout almost the entire movie, where I'm going to say about 90% of this movie is only in 5 channels. Occasionally we'll get the height channel effects, mostly when Jarvis is talking. It blips on and off during the last third of the movie when we get the big action scene. But otherwise, not much happening up top, and then not much happening in the back channels. So again, mostly 5.1.2 mix, or really 5.1 mix. I guess it's understandable if this released at the theaters in 5 channels only, since it did say it was in Dolby Digital and DTS, not Dolby Atmos. So maybe they just didn't take the time to give us the most immersive mix possible. But I felt like for a movie with some pretty good action, really kind of a letdown. Well, let's talk about the video quality really quick here. So this, just like Iron Man 1, also,
oh yes, lest we forget Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, this is her intro into the MCU. Very young. Look
Yeah.
how round her face
I
is.
know.
Very,
Yep.
very cute. But
Very cute.
the detail in this movie is okay. This is one of the better shots in the movie. We can see that Natasha. We can see she's got some good texture on her skin. We can see the strands of hair, little cracks in her lips and all that stuff. So really nice quality. Next shot here, Tony is enamored by Natasha. One of the best scenes in the movie, where he goes, "I want one."
That when she puts a smackdown on Happy.
Happy was pretty thin in this movie too.
Yeah, he was.
Another scene, we got Tony. He's looking pretty dapper. Good detail. I mean, kind of a little bit soft here, but we can still see the strands on his beard, his goatee, his stash. Some good wrinkling around his eyes. Good texture on his sweat shirt there. Probably one of the better scenes here. No DNR that I can tell in this shot here. I know it's only a shot of her in her undies, but still some pretty good detail. Here we can see Mickey Rourke's face in all his glory, all his plasticized glory here. Rough. This is a rough dude. Real rough dude. He was a pretty handsome guy back in the 9.5 years, rather.
Angel Heart, 9.5 weeks.
Yeah. He was one of the heartthrobs back in the 80s.
And then he went
on
his
busted
mind.
up boxing. Went plastic surgery.
Yep. Too many shots to the dome.
Yeah, too many. But yeah, Mickey's looking a little rough here, but you know, texture's pretty decent. You can see the pores and stuff on his face, the artificial scar they put on his cheek there. Then we start getting into some more heavy usage of noise reduction. Tony's looking a little bit more softer here. Can't see the strands in his stash or strands in his hair anymore. He's looking a little bit softer, a little bit more waxier. This shot here just looks like everybody's kind of plasticized here. There's like really no detail here at all.
Dude, what is up with Garrett Shandling?
Washed out.
And all that plastic. Like, that dude had He had so much Botox in him, he could barely
Oh,
move his mouth.
I know. He was so bloated looking. It's ridiculous. I don't know what these guys think of when they get older. Just guys typically kind of just look better when they get older. You know, more
Right?
distinguished, I would
I don't
say.
know, man. He just went on. He went. Maybe he had something happen to him, but he. I mean, I remember the Gary Shandling show. He was a fairly normal looking dude.
Yeah. Not
And then the next time I saw him was I didn't see him for a long time. Then I saw him in this. And I was like, holy plastic surgery.
Yeah. Well, just like this here. Like another close up of Mickey Rourke. The funny thing is, his face is slightly out of focus and blurred, but his shoulders are actually in focus. So I think this is a combination of them just missing focus and noise reduction because his shoulders look pretty good in this scene. Because you know, when I was watching it on the projector screen, I was like, wow, this is such a, you know, when it's everything so blown up, you can really see the detail or lack thereof. And they definitely missed focus on that shot there. This is when Tony is having his powwow with Rourke in the jail cell. This is another really bad DNR'd scene. I mean, Kate Mara should look a lot crisper and more detailed because she's a good looking gal, and this she just looks like a hot waxy mess here. And here we have another scene. DNR, the texture on his suit is pretty much eradicated. His face looks all artificially, it looks like water paint almost. So does Pepper.
Mhm.
Again here, same thing. Not much happening in his face. His stash and his goatee look a little
Look,
blurred.
look at the strawberries. They're just like red lumps.
Yeah, that's like it's just like a blob, like a red
There's no
blob
detail
almost.
whatsoever. Yeah, they went a
Sam
little
Rockwell
overboard.
gets it pretty bad too. Like this scene where he's talking to Mickey Rourke. What's his name? His name's Vanko. He's talking to Vanko
Yeah.
in his bedroom at the Hammer headquarters there. This whole scene, he just looks like artificially, like he's got an artificial tan. It's like a blurry tan for this entire scene. His hands look
Right.
odd as well. And then we get to some of the HDR black levels. Black levels
They're a little
are
crushed.
a little crushed here and there, yeah, for sure. Which is kind of like what Iron Man 1 looked like, if you remember, especially like the stuff in the cave. So we
A
get
lot of
some of
that in
that
the
here
cave.
as well. Some raised in some parts, some really dark in other parts. You guys are watching an SDR shot here, and the SDR kind of, at least for black levels, sometimes is not as crushed as the HDR version, but we'll get to that in a second here.
Hmm.
Another shot, some black levels, a little bit more waxiness in Natasha's face, some detail lost in her hair. And then here we've got, as far as like CGI detail wise, like these guys look pretty good still. Like the armor on Iron Man and Rhodey, I would say look just as
Yeah.
good as they did in Iron Man 1. It's believable, I
The
thought.
first thing saw when I mean, you pretty much hit it on the head. This still looks really tight.
Hmm.
You know, they did a really nice job with this. Other than the fact that the drones got killed really fast, and it was kind of a, you know, they were turned out to be kind of soft in terms of their ruggedness and attack strength. They were pretty cool looking.
Yeah, they were cool. This part's funny because he's like, let me take him out with the ex-wife and the
Oh yeah,
missiles.
he's like, woo! He's like, let me guess, hammer.
Yeah. Again, more
Yep.
CG. This looks pretty good. Although these in this shot here, they do look like they're a little bit floating on top of the ground, as the camera's kind of
Now, how
moving.
did it sound when they were landing? When they were like thud, thud, thud.
Yeah,
Like
that sounded
they
really
had a
good.
very mechanical sound, but did that sound good on yours as well?
Yeah, the bass hit really nice. It took me by surprise when the first landing is in the back right half of the room, and it just like thud real quick. I was like, whoa, what's that? Oh, they're drones. So that took me by surprise there. So pretty good Atmos effect for this scene. HDR. HDR was pretty hot. I would imagine it probably looked pretty vibrant and kind of hot in your OLED as well. Like the
Yeah.
whites got really hot, very much like Iron Man 1 and in the Incredible Hulk. The white tended to lean a little hot. I feel like that just a little bit of detail was crushed in the white areas. This one here is really bright as well, really hot as well. Not too bad, but you can definitely tell if when you're watching it on your TV set. This is only SDR shot, so. But the colors again, pretty good, pretty warm scene, pretty vibrant throughout. I think it's a step up from the standard Blu-ray as far as vibrancy and brightness. Here's a shot here where HDR came pretty hot, which blew out the detail in the windows. Although you can see them here. This is only SDR. So the white and the flag as well, edged really hot. I think that's why some of the black levels looked a little overcooked as well, which would,
And Tom Cheadle looks like he's missing a head.
yeah, the blacks were crushing at times. There's a couple shots where the blacks are raised, but then a lot of times they're just kind of crushed. Another really bright scene as well. I mean, if you're looking for something really bright to show off your display, this is definitely one of the brighter ones, one of the brighter movies. CG is a little questionable right here because you can tell Tony is not actually wearing that suit. So his CG is a little wonky there in parts. And Tony is definitely sitting on an apple crate because he does not tower over Gwyneth Paltrow in real life. I think he comes up to her chin probably. I always like how they try to make him the same height as all the other actors in the movie. Overall, I thought video quality was just as good, I would say, as Iron Man 1 and The Incredible Hulk. I didn't think it was anything standoutish or anything like that. A lot of DNR in these early Marvel movies and, just some overcooked HDR. I would say video quality wise, I'm going to go 7.8 for video quality. Audio, I felt was okay in parts, but overall, I thought it was kind of underwhelming. The bass could have been better. I mean, the good stuff, the good bass that we get, like I said, Whiplash whipping his stuff in the Monaco Raceway, that was really good. Anytime there was a flyover or a flyby with Rhodey or Iron Man, I think there's the scene where War Machine is flying through the base before he hands over the suit. Right. That has a lot of bass in it. It's very, very Top Gun-esque, Maverick-esque in his flyby. That was really good. And of course, the drones towards the end of the movie when they're landing, like you mentioned earlier, Bill, that had a pretty good deep bass as well. But as far as like directional activity, stuff flying throughout different speakers, not too much happening there. Like I said, I believe this movie came from a 5-channel mix, and for the most part, it's a 5-channel mix for a good 90% of the movie, I would say. So, audio quality, I would say 7.5. So not the best sounding in the series. I haven't seen Iron Man 3 yet, so I don't know how good that's going to sound, but I would say this is just on par with Iron Man 1 for both audio and video. So story-wise, how do you think this holds up to movie 1?
Everything was okay up until kind of the end, when it just kind of petered out. I mean, although you never really got that much backstory on. And here's something else I found funny. I was watching this morning, and I made a mental note that Mickey Rourke is in a room with the guy that's supposed to be his father.
Yeah.
And he looks just as old, if not more beat up than the guy who's dying. I'm like, yeah, they didn't do that one right. But we never got a lot of backstory other than his father wanted to make a lot of money, so Tony's father basically blacklisted him and had him deported. It's like you never got another side of it. All he said was, "Oh, what you did to my family! What you did to my family!"
So what's the thing? He was working with Howard to create.
His father was working with Howard to create basically the energy source that was sort of promised by the atomic age of so much energy it'd be free. They couldn't even charge you for it, and it didn't work out that way. That was the original arc. The idea behind the arc reactor was that it was going to be able to, provide oodles of energy, but it never really materialized because no one ever actually came up with his father thought up that element, but they were never able to create it.
Yeah. How convenient.
It took Tony in his basement with a sledgehammer and a bunch of like mail order friggin' collider parts. I'm like, really? Come on, man. Like, because that same morning, Pepper's like, oh, well, we have the demonstration by Hammer tomorrow night at the whatever at the expo, and I'm like, so he's gonna figure this out, get all the parts, and manufacture it and synthesize it in 24 hours. I'm like, all right, little suspension of disbelief issue with me, even though it's a superhero movie, which that asked quite a lot of us to begin with, but it's Tony Stark. What are you gonna do, man?
His dad just so happened to have the formula for the element that he needs to suppress the blood disease Like,
Right.
oh,
And
okay.
Jarvis tells him,
Yeah.
we can't synthesize this here. Ah, no problem. And
Yeah.
they sing, montage shot of Tony like uncrating these collider coils. And then here, in Captain America's shield, you think he's going to use it for something profound, and he uses it to like basically
Oh, yeah,
to
yeah.
level one section of the coils. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, Mickey Rourke is just Mickey Rourke in this movie because that's how he is in real life.
Yeah,
He wears the weird clothes, the super tight cutoff shirts, the dirty jeans,
he
the dirty boots.
boxing man. He took too many shots to the head.
Yeah, he's just like he's never. He technically could come back, but I think he's so down and out now. I don't. I think Marvel will be nuts to bring him back for anything.
Him and Randy Quaid can sit and have beers together and discuss you know their poor fortunes.
Yeah.
I think a better sort of track for the story of the movie would have been the fact that the government took his suit. That could have
Hmm.
fueled that whole movie of him, you know, sitting in Senate hearings and scheming to get his thing back and making Rhodey friggin' go rogue or something.
Yeah.
I mean, there could have been a whole bunch of other stuff to it.
I remember the first
You
time
know,
seeing it. I walked out and I was like, dude, this is kind of a weak movie. I think it was a little bit better than the
yeah,
first
me
time I
too.
seen it. So Mickey Rourke still kind of sucked. I wasn't the biggest fan of him, but everything else was cool. On Natasha, for some reason, I thought Natasha spoke Russian in this movie. Did she ever speak Russian?
No, she spoke Latin,
Yeah, she spoke Latin. Yeah, no Russian.
but she
That's
never spoke Russian
yeah. I could have swore she did in this one, but I guess
because she
not.
was undercover. She was undercover.
Yeah,
And
but she
then,
was she
but
was decent in that.
she didn't use the name Black Widow at that point. She just used Natasha.
So we got Incredible
We
Hulk is
got
at
so Iron
number
Man 1
two.
still is number one.
Yep,
Yep.
Incredible Hulk is number two.
So I
Iron
think they
Man.
still stay in there. Perfect.
Yeah, one, two, three. Yeah, I would say so. So as far
I
as
think when Thor comes, those will start changing around.
we might. I'm sure we'll have a separate list towards midway point because I'm sure there's something that you'll like that I'll hate. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. So right now, Iron Man is the best movie, Incredible Hulk being the second best, and Iron Man 2 being the third best. So in order of release from best to worst.
You've got better equipment than I do, so you've got like more basis to like or dislike something. You know,
No, I'm just
I'm
talking
just a
about
mug over
enjoyment.
here with my
I'm
radio
talking,
setup.
not counting the picture of the audio, just in pure enjoyment or rewatchability. But the
Nice,
next movie in the list
good taste
is
in
going
music.
to be Thor from 2011. So we got Thor, Captain America, and then we'll hit up the Avengers. All right, so what are your thoughts on Iron Man 2 on 4K Blu-ray? Have you seen it? Do you own it? What you think about the picture and the audio quality? Leave your thoughts down below and let us know if you feel the audio quality was weak and if the video quality was weak as well, or are we both blind? Let us know in the comments if you want to grab any of these movies. Iron Man 1, 2, Incredible Hulk. Links will be down in this video's description. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We'll catch you in the next video.